Okay, so one of the products that we produce is called RiVR Investigate. So here you are inside a virtual reality room scale environment, and this is 6 degrees of freedom. So it allows me to walk around and also pick things up with my hands, and also look around and use tools above my head. So what we're in now is one of the 6 scenarios that we've got inside Investigate, and we basically made these containers in the real world using fire investigators to help us put these together on our own facility, and then we conducted the burns. We conducted the burns at the facility and then laser scanned the environment and used photogrammetry to recreate the whole scenario back inside virtual reality. So that now, when you're in virtual reality, you can reset the scene as many times as you like, saving lots of money and also a lot better on your health. So here we are. Here's us in virtual reality, and this allows us inside Investigate to have multiplayer as well. So we can invite different people into the environment and do the training together. So inside these scenarios we can look at the backstory. So here we get to see all of the things that have happened up until we arrive at the scene. And this is things like the incident commander and what equipment the firefighters had. This gives the investigator a lot more information before they enter the scene. So we'll come back out of here now. Now, when we've done these training environments before, people might spend quite a lot of time outside the containers at first, taking some photos. So let's just briefly, before we go inside, I'm going to talk you through these items above our head. So on the left-hand side, we get the use of the evidence marker. So we can lay those on the floor. We can just do a few of those just to illustrate that. We've also got the torch above our head, so this will become a lot more useful when we're inside the container. We've got a camera, so we can take photos outside. If your training might need you to take some photos, this is great for practicing that. Then we've got a dictaphone, so as you grab this dictaphone, you're now talking, and everything that's coming out of your mouth is being recorded, and that at the end of your training is given to you as an audio file along with the photos from the camera. This is a gas detector in case you want to do that before you go in. And here we've got some scene lighting, so we can use these to place them around the scene to create additional light, and we'll put some of those inside the scene in a minute. So now I'm just going to remove these, and we're going to go up to the door and have a look in. So like I was talking about 6 degrees of freedom, this is what we're talking about. You can interact with the actual environment. So now, as a fire investigator, I'm going to open the door and I'm going to step into the scenario, and I'm going to take a photo as I come in just around the room. And now I can also get the the torch, and now the torch comes into its own when you can use it in an environment like this. So here, because we've scanned every single object, we can interact with them. So I might want to look underneath this toaster, so we get to see the protection marks underneath, and we get to look at it in more detail. And now I can evidence the item with this controller. So you see my thumb over here, we can push down there, evidence the item, and now that goes into the lab. So it's now over here on the side, and we can see it in much better light, and we can even look at, you know, what food was last cooked in there. So we'll put that back on there. And now we've got more items here that we can go through and evidence. If we were working towards what we think may be the cause of the fire, which looks like it's quite a lot of damage over here, we can move some of these things out of the way. So just to show that, yeah, it's all interactable, it's physics, so we can drop them on the floor. Let's get some scene lighting on this table, just to show it off a little bit better. Move this one over here. can see that under there. And now we can kneel down and look at the plug sockets underneath. So let's get the torch, have a better look. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Evidence that. And now let's put one of these on the floor and take a photo so we can see the plug socket. Let's get the torch as well. Cool. Let's put that back up there. Let's evidence a few of these while we're down here. Move them into the lab. Now for these bigger objects like the chairs, we can click on them and then evidence. We just can't pick them up because they'll knock into things. That's it, so we can clear out the room. Good, okay. Now, evidence that. We've just added, let's not do that bit. Ollie, on the machine?
Yeah.
Can you just lower me 2 notches? Cool. So we've added another thing to investigate that allows you to dig a bit further. So down here, there looks like there's a lot of damage around this bin. So I want to dig a bit further down. So if you put the controller in, you can see you can touch this floor area. And as we touch it, you pull the trigger and it says in order to excavate this area, we need to evidence on the thumb pad. So you can press dig on this controller and then it digs a bit further down. There you go. So we've just dug down another layer. Now we can move the bin out of the way, just to get a lot closer to what's underneath. Let's just take a photo while we're there of the plugs. Cool. Now we can move this out of the way. I'm going to stand back up again. Obviously I'm not doing this as an investigator would. I'm showing you the environment. Lots more things to evidence over here. And now over here it looks like I can interact with quite a lot. So let's get a scene light over here to have a better look. Now I'm going to take a photo. Under there. Cool, now I'm going to start evidencing some items and see how much we can. I'm just showing the capabilities of how much we can investigate in each scene. Yep, we've even scanned the cakes and the bread. Lots of things have melted in this fire. Like we can see the protection marks are really interesting. All the protection marks as they were. Evidence that. Now we can start taking this apart. So evidence all of these. Cool, now we can see behind here. Let's get the torch. That's great. So we've done quite a lot of evidence in. Let's get this out of the way as well. Now we should have everything outside in the lab for us to have a better look at. Okay, good. So everything's laid out and now we can see things in a lot better lighting conditions. But we still need to, now everything's laid out, we get to see behind things. So we get, a great view of this, the cooker at the back that we couldn't really see when we were inside the container, but now it's super detailed because of the photogrammetry used. It's almost like that chain should be rocking around. So now we need to go and look at the end of the training, the student inside VR has to come up with their hypothesis of what they think happened inside the container. But we like to show them what happened as well. So we bring up the console, we'll have our photos in here. These are the photos that you can take away with you at the end of the training. You can make them look bigger like this and flick through them all. They look great. They look like actual photos. And then we go back to the videos. Now first we might want to ask if there was any accelerants used in the scene. So maybe there was an arson scene, or potentially used accelerant to start a fire. So we're going to click on the dogs VR, and that's going to take us into a 360 video, where in this case we brought in Kai, which is the West Midlands sniffer dog, and in this scene Kai doesn't indicate any accelerant used in the scene, so we can rule that out of our investigation. But this is just another way of allowing virtual reality to give you a better training environment than you would do in the real world, because this is something that you can't do. We can't continuously call in a sniffer dog for the training scenarios. So we press quit on that, and now we're going to go for the learning outcome. Now the learning outcome is going to be, how do we think the fire started? So we click on burn, and now we're going to watch what happened through the wall. Because we filmed it with a 360 camera against the wall, we now get to see exactly how the fire spread. So on our controls in front of us, we can skip through the video. So I can press this on my thumb, and we can skip through in like 5-second intervals. So we can watch the fire spread, and we can see that there was pizza boxes on the side too close to where they were cooking some sausages. And as we skip through the video, we see the fire overwhelming the room and the camera. And I think we managed to save the camera. Saw some things dropping around then. If you look over to the bin area, that's where we saw those clothing on the floor. Yeah, it just fell. And then we see the fire spread across the floor and over to the bin area. So that's the learning outcome. I'm just going to press exit. So yes, that's the first scene in RiVR Investigate, and there is 6 different scenarios that have been created. And the next thing I'm going to show you is the high-rise VR procedure trainer that we've been working on.